Okay, it's now 6:30. I guess we need to call this Board of Adjustments meeting to order. I guess as authorized by section 551.071 of the State of Texas Code, the meeting may be convened to close the executive session for purpose of seeking confidential legal advice from the city attorney. That's not going to be happening this evening. The Board of Adjustment reserves the right to reconvene, realign their regular session call to executive session in order for business at any time prior to the adjournment. So we're not having executive session this evening.
Yes.
Hello. Together. Donna.
Right.
Yes, welcome. So again, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And now, as I said, 6:30. Our next item on the list is citizen input. We do this to provide for the meeting. If you're not attending in person, please send an email to citizeninput@rowlett.com by 3:30 p.m. the day of the meeting. Please specify whether you please specify whether your comment is regarding a specific agenda item or a general comment to the board. And of course, you're limited to 3 minutes. And at this time, if anybody in the audience wants to talk to the board with information, we cannot respond back to you. We can listen to what you have to say. Okay. Do we have anything from coming in? So we have nothing for citizens input this evening. We're moving on to item 3. We need to consider the minutes from the Board of Adjustment meeting from December of 2021. So has anybody, we've all reviewed those minutes. Anybody have a motion to approve in a second?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Chris makes a motion to approve. Donna made a second. I have one quick comment. There was an edit I sent to Susan a few days ago. I don't know if it's critical or not. Did that?
She did not provide me
Okay.
anything like that, so the minutes and the presentation were on the consent, so we'll just pull the minutes off.
Right.
And since they were revised, and we'll just do a hand raise on that if y'all don't mind.
That's fine.
Okay. So we need to mention what the revision was? Or?
If you don't mind.
Yes, okay, what the issue was, it's not, no skin off my nose, but I'm big for accuracy. I know Chris started the last meeting as the chairman of the meeting. I finished the meeting and signed the papers for that meeting. And the way the notes read is that Chris did both pieces. I don't particularly mind one way or the other, but it's not exactly how it happened. So the only thing I would make, if we could redo make that comment, that addendum would be appreciated. We need to do another motion, or we can do a vote.
You can do a vote.
Okay. Let's do a vote. Show of hands, you say?
On this one, yes. Unanimous?
Unanimous? Okay, moving on to item 5, consider approval of the Board of Adjustments calendar for 2022. And per the agenda in the packet, basically there was a tentative meeting dates being set for the Wednesdays. I need to read that in entirety or just vote on that?
Unless you're asking to change it.
No, I hadn't seen it.
If it's how it is, if you
Yep.
want to approve it as it is, then we'll take a motion and a
Yeah, look for a
second.
motion.
Make a motion to approve the meetings calendar for 2022.
I'll second that.
And vote also?
No, this one you can.
Okay, we're good for that? All right. Okay, that's unanimous, all in the affirmative.
Oh, that should not be showing.
Okay, and now the meat of tonight, this is to conduct a public hearing. This is item 5A. Take action on the request by Mark Gurry, I didn't push that too bad, for a variance on section 77-400 to amend the required street frontage requirement on property zone single-family residence SF8 district. The subject property is located at 9417 Dow Rock, approximately 600 feet north of the intersection of Dow Rock Road, McClary Lane, in the city of Rowlett, Dallas County. Understand staff has a presentation?
We do.
Please.
Chairman Romaine, board members, thank you so much for your time. As Chairman Romaine just stated, we are here to review variance to section 77400, which is amending the frontage requirement in the Rowlett Building Code. This property here in question is zoned single-family residential SF8. Which we stated is located at 9417 Del Rock Road. It is a non-platted piece of property that is approximately 2.47 acres. The subject property is zoned SF8, as I stated, which is intended to accommodate primarily single-family residential development with a minimum lot area of 8,000 square feet. This being 2.4, it definitely meets and exceeds the requirement there. The applicant intends to develop the subject property with one single-family residence that is accessed off of Del Rock Road via an existing easement. However, the lot does not have a required minimum street frontage, and so an amendment to the 35-foot street frontage requirement is being requested. Section 77-40283D of the Rowlett Building Code states that no residential dwelling shall be erected on a lot that does not abut on at least one street for at least 35 feet. If you go through the design standards, it requires 65 feet lot width, 35 feet of street frontage, and so it does make that separation. That it does need to abut a street itself for 35 feet of its length. Of the length of its width, rather. The subject property is currently landlocked and does not have frontage or direct access to Dow Rock. The applicant is requesting to utilize an existing 30-foot wide common access or ingress and egress easement instead of providing a minimum required lot frontage of 35 feet. To the image on the right, the yellow portion does show the approximate location of that 30-foot easement. The easement is shared with two other properties and was recorded prior to the adoption of the Rowlett Building Code. In essence, the actual easement preceded the requirement with 35-foot frontage. It's not uncommon for older properties to have been subdivided without access to public right-of-ways, or as we call them often, landlocked properties. These are typically a result of subdivisions that occurred a long time. Oftentimes, roads, right-of-ways will come after development, or in the past, without the requirement for actual street frontage, you could potentially subdivide different parcels within your own family estate and things of that sort. And so it's not uncommon for these older properties to have this condition, and we'll be seeing likely some more of these as Rowlett continues to reach full development, full build-out. The applicant is seeking to construct a single-family home, which is to say that they're not looking to subdivide the existing property, simply asking for a way for him to actually develop the property for this single-family home. The project will be required to comply with all design standards associated with new development of the Rowlett Building Code, as well as other applicable codes and ordinances, fire and so on, including ensuring that the easement access is paved to meet city standards. Currently, it is a approximately 12-foot gravel road that allows access to this property as well as two others. The building safety, or rather the building code, does require that any new development meet a paved surface at least 10 feet in width. And so that will be required as part of this development. but not necessarily something you would be approving today. Just clarifying that today. Per section 211 of the Texas Local Government Code, the Board of Adjustment is to determine whether the request is contrary to public interest, and if due to a special condition, a literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. And so that the spirit of the ordinance is observed and substantial justice is done. Further describes the purpose of the variance process is intended to provide limited relief from the requirements of the code or strict application of a particular requirement, in this instance the 35-foot frontage, will create an unnecessary hardship prohibiting the use of the land in the manner otherwise allowed by the RDC. A variance is intended to provide relief where the requirement of the RDC renders the land difficult or impossible to use because of some unique physical attribute of the property or some other factor unique to the property for which the variance is requested. And so variances approved by the BOA do run permanent in nature with the land or the use associated with that variance. Essentially, the legal boundaries of this property were established prior to the adoption of the Rowlett Development Code in 2006, and the applicant is not seeking further subdivision that would compromise the intent of the development code. The approval of this request would allow for the lot to be platted as a precursor to development of this single-family home. And just to note that a 75% of the required board is necessary in order to decide in favor of the request. Since there are 5 of you today, that would mean at least 4 of you would have to vote in favor of this request. Notifications were sent, 500-foot radius, 24 of those, and none were received in either opposition or in favor. Staff recommendation is for approval of the variance to waive the requirement for 35 feet street frontage and to allow for the existing 30-foot easement to serve as access to the site. The existing ingress and egress easement is recorded in Dallas County and already serves as access to the subject property, as well as 2 other properties that are avoided direct access to Del Rock Road. The applicant is here to answer any questions if the board has them, and I am here to answer any questions as well.
Any other questions? Thank you. Would the applicant like to present? You don't have to, but your choice, your prerogative.
No, I don't have anything to present. First, I'd like to apologize for showing up appropriate and tired. Spent 3 hours at Concentra for a X-ray.
You're fine.
I don't have much to say. I think you covered for pretty much everything. Unless you have any questions for me.
I think we've got the information we need, looks like.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I guess I jumped the gun, officially now opening a public hearing. And what I see is we've had no affirmative or negative comments come in from any of the neighbors in the area. Is anyone in the audience? Looks like there's no one in the audience to speak during the public hearing either. Okay, so at this point, I guess we close the public hearing. All right. And does the board have anything they wish to discuss or questions asked? Let's see, no, I think it'd be a quick meeting this evening.
Yeah, but
Need a call to approve? Need a motion to approve? Have a second?
Second.
Second. And we need to vote. I got passed, you got your variance you need. And,
Thank you.
you're welcome. At this point, I guess we need to adjourn today's meeting. And we appreciate everybody's time here this evening, and I guess meeting's adjourned.